Okay, so Mr. Khalid, what's going on here?
We're doing a 40-block mixture today.
Yeah.
It's a light day today, but I've got a couple of these big ones to put on. So this is the big 30 or 40 litre mixer, standalone. Look how big it is. We've got the next one down, and then we've got the baby one over there, and then we've got the hand one for like the miniature mixers. Right now, just putting the first set of eggs in with the sugar and the butter, just mixing. Got the next set of eggs to put in now, and then I'm gonna take it out and do my little bit of magic.
Yeah.
You know, which is gonna be off camera. But yeah, that's basically. We've got about 20 cakes to do today.
Yeah.
Over here, I don't know how many's got to get done over in the decorating side. But yeah, can't leave this on for too long, so I'm gonna get this done.
Okay. Can you tell me the best and the worst thing about your job?
Having to work. That's the best thing about it. Obviously nobody wants to work. But that's how it goes sometimes. Best thing is completing the cakes, to be honest. Like when we get bespoke orders from such like Louis Vuitton, from Chanel, Dior, when they come to us like handcrafted, handmade, like a bag, 3D hyper-realistic cakes.
Yeah.
Cakes that challenge you. Everyday running cakes, they're a bit boring. It's just in, out, production, just to make money.
Yeah.
There's no fun. There's not really any fun in that. The fun is in the bespoke cakes. That's where you get a bit of satisfaction. But outside of that, everything else is just ticking costs, covering bills.
Okay, so for anyone that wanted to get involved in cakes, how would they go about it? Is there any qualifications they need to do, or what route should they take?
It depends on what you're trying to do with it. Are you trying to be a professional cake maker? Are you trying to make it do? Are you trying to do it as a hobby? Are you trying to do it as a business? Are you trying to do realistic cakes? Realistic cakes are completely different to just doing like a standard themed birthday cake. So it depends on what you're trying to do. We started from just selling cakes and cookies on the streets.
Yeah.
The streets of Birmingham. We grew a following. From that following, it got to a point where we stopped doing it.
Yeah.
People was asking for us, stopping us on the street. We realised that, you know what, we probably had a product that was probably good. Set up a logo, etc., and then tried to push it from there. Year one, year out, by the grace of Allah, alhamdulillah, we grew.
Yeah.
Got more clientele, more business.
Okay.
Made more profit, put back into the business, more clientele. Consistent circle from that, to be honest. But you can go to college, university. One of our decorators, she came here from having a university reach out to us, asked if we could take someone for a placement. Took her on. She liked us. We liked her. She kind of had a foundation. She was doing it for 2 years prior. We took her on. She got a job here. So you can go to uni. They're not going to teach you what you're going to learn in everyday life. They're just going to teach you fundamentals.
The basics.
Basics, the fundamentals. But from what you've got a foundation, you can transfer them skills into
the real life.
Kitchen.
So basically, you would recommend going to college first or something? You would recommend it? Or would you say, because they've gone to college, would you have to unlearn some of the stuff they've learned?
Depends on what you want to do with it. Depends on the skill. Look, for instance, very quickly, the university will teach them how to, when it comes to fondant, which is sugar paste in a cake. They will teach you generally how to have a beveled edge, like a rounded edge of a cake. That's how they used to do cakes. And nowadays the trend is more sharp edges.
Okay.
So she could fondant a cake, but we had to kind of show her how to get sharp edges, etc., which is now the trend. So she didn't have to relearn from scratch, but she had to adapt and enhance her skills.
Okay.
What I'm doing now is I took it out the big mixer. But obviously, the big mixer may not be able to combine everything. So what I do is I put it into its bowl and then just give it a quick stir to mix up everything that's loose. So that now it's about putting in the dry ingredients, the flour, soda, powder, whatever else, chocolate, whatever you're putting in, and then skillet in the oven.
Okay. How long does this process normally take?
This is going to take, this depends on the size of the mixture. This is quite a big mixture. So this, just sieving out the flour could take me about 5 minutes
What?
in itself, you know. So this part, to get into oven, about another 15, 20 minutes. Obviously you got to dish it all out.
Yeah.
But this is a science. The more I'm talking to you, this is starting to curdle.
No
so
problem.
now it's time for me to get on and get it done.
Okay, so we're back.
Yep. Right now what I'm doing is just folding. See, there's a big difference between industrialized cakes and a handmade cake.
Yeah.
Even though I can use industrialized size mixers, etc., etc., it's all about folding of the cake. We never put flour into our mixer and fold.
Why is that?
Because that's how it becomes very gluten and very stiff.
Okay.
So when I'm folding, I'm able to keep and control as much air in it as possible. When it's mixing in the mixer,
Yeah.
the mixer will knock out all of the air.
Okay.
This will create a very dry and dense cake.
So this is more. So basically, this is more precise. You're in control.
It's not as harsh as a mixer.
Okay.
Bottom line, you can always tell when it's too gluten. There's too much gluten activated.
What can you see?
What can I say? I can't tell you that.
Oh, okay.
For other people that's gonna try and go out there and get the sauce, get the secrets, you gotta learn this.
Fair enough.
But you always want to make sure your cake's combined, but you don't ever want to overmix. You don't ever want to overmix. How does this mixture look? At this moment in time, it looks good. You'll know now when I put it on the, to get measured, we have a certain amount of numbers.
Yeah.
10, 12, 15, 21 million. If it's more, if it weighs heavier, that means it's a bit thicker than usual. If it's lighter, we're in a good position. But we don't want it too light because then you got to overfill and that will mess up the baking time. Remember, it's all a science.
What's happened?
Basically, I've done for the first set of for the first set that I've got to do.
Yeah.
I have done too big of a mixture.
Okay. So what does that mean? What's the problem with that?
It's too big. I've got too much left over. So now I'm gonna have to make spare cakes and try and sell them.
Okay.
You don't ever want to throw them in the bin. You're wasting money if you throw them in the bin. So now it's about making some spares and get them sold.
So how did you do that? Where did you go wrong in the process?
I've added up what I needed and I've added up too much. Bottom line.
The mathing.
The math was mathing, but
It's better to have too much than too little.
something's gone wrong somewhere.
All right.
So now obviously I've got to do the next flavors. So I have to do this all over again with the next flavors.
So how much cakes can that oven hold?
I don't know. I'll be honest, I don't know. I know the other day we got out 11 of these on one shelf, and there's 4 shelves.
So 11 a shelf.
There we go.
Do the math, quick math.
A lot of people tend to bake a very tall cake
Yeah.
and have it sit in the oven for a considerable amount of time. Is that it? This tends to dry out the cake. So what they end up having to do is cut the cake, cut the top of the cake, the bottom of the cake, and all the edges. Because the end
To get rid of the crisp.
It burns up. But obviously to make sure the center of the cake's cooked.
Okay.
We don't do that. We cook each individual layer. So it's smaller, but then we stack it together, which you'll see either later on today or tomorrow.
It's basically a more efficient way of cooking it to make sure it's not crisp and...
Basically.
I get you. So what's this, the rota?
This is just basically what cakes we got for each day. And each box signifies 3
Layers.
Yeah?
Okay.
So this is what so whenever we put them in the oven, we'll mark which one's been done, so forth and so forth, just so we can keep track.
Okay, so typically how many hours would you say you work a week?
Bit of a hard question because being a business owner, your phone never switches off. So at the moment my eyes are open, I'm working, but in the unit we're here for about 4 to 5 days on a random day. When it's busy, we could double that easy, depending on what we're trying to get through the door. So it depends, but generally 4 to 6 hours a day. We try to finish up by 2 o'clock, obviously, to get back to the other side of Birmingham.
Yeah.
School run, so forth and so forth.
Okay, Miss Rose, what are we doing here?
So we are making the cakes for tomorrow.
Yeah.
So this is a bento cake, it's a mini cake. And it's going to be surrounded by cupcakes. So the cupcakes that done last, the cake gets done first.
Okay. How long is this going to take?
Minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This one anyway, but we've got multiple. So we'll be in normally between 10 and 2 decorating, but that's not just me, that's obviously me and also cake decorators and staff.
Okay. So what is this fondant? I don't know anything about cakes. What is it?
This is buttercream.
Okay.
We do fondant cakes, not a lot of people do, but the majority of cakes nowadays, they're buttercream, and I think it's because people don't like fondant, firstly, and secondly, not a lot of people know how to do fondant, but because we learned to decorate, 12 years ago, there was no such thing as buttercream wedding cakes back then, so we had to learn fondant first.
Okay.
So that's why we do the fondant as well.
Okay, so what would you say is the best and worst thing about your job?
The best thing is that we are our own bosses. I'm actually trained. I'm actually trained. My profession is nursing, but I left nursing 4 years ago to do this full time. And at the end of the day, we're our own boss and we make our own money by the grace of Allah. The worst thing is you go from working maybe 16 to 24 hours, even 37 hours, to working a full week, 7 days a week.
Wow.
So, but that's what the price you got to pay to be your own boss, isn't it?
Khalid,
One and only.
what would you say is the hardest thing about your job?
For me personally, trying to make sure I'm satisfying all the customers. Me, I respect my craft. I actually put effort into my craft. Hence why I take it out of the machinery and do it by hand. Every cake that leaves me, I put my all in, 100%. So when people come back, whether it's my fault or it's their fault,
Yeah.
and they've got an issue, it kind of affects me, but I'm learning to deal with it, because by statistics, the more clientele you have, by default, you're going to have someone that's not going to like it. So that's my hardest thing, trying to make sure I satisfy everyone. I'm very meticulous in what I do, so because I'm trying to satisfy everyone, it gets a bit hard sometimes.
So Rose,
Yes.
what would you say is the hardest thing about your job?
I would say that I'm not naturally a perfectionist.
Yeah.
The perfection aspect comes from college, believe it or not. So when it comes to things like realistic cakes, alhamdulillah, although I can do them, I feel like sometimes we work good as a team, innit? So the hardest bit about me is the fact that I'm not a perfectionist, and sometimes I have to stop and reflect and do it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
A baker starting off salary-wise, is there like a range?
Well, minimum wage upwards. You'll start from minimum wage and then you'll increase. The more skills you learn, you'll increase.
Is
So,
there
minimum wage?
is there any opportunity to be self-employed?
Yeah, you can. That's how we did. We started selling cakes on the street. So yeah, you can start as a hobby, build up a clientele, and then from there you can make it more serious and take it into a genuine business.
So what does your day-to-day look like? What would you have to do, like checks-wise?
Early morning start, we come in, put our heater on, it's cold in here, do our morning checks, check our fridge temperatures, use our thermal gun as well to counter check it. Then we have our stuff that we got to do for the week on the fridge, get the boards ready. If there's any cakes that needs to get made, that was made yesterday, they'll move over into the cake decorating room. All the baking, we get all tins sorted out, we get them sprayed and ready to go. Get our eggs and everything dished out, our weights, everything ready, flour, everything, sugar ready, and then from there, we're ready to go.
Okay. What about stock and stuff?
Stock, we generally do a big stock, beginning of every week. If we run out of something by accident, then we have to go out and get it. But genuinely, that's done at the beginning of the week. So it doesn't take time out of our day to have to go to a shop here and there, everywhere. Slow us down. Everything's about timing.
Have you got any improvements or any changes you would implement?
what I would like to improve is have a bigger unit and more equipment, more mixers, and probably potentially a bigger oven, so that we can produce more and get more out the door in a shorter space of time, to be honest. Apart from that, I can't think of anything else at this moment in time.
Obviously the final stage of the process.
This is the final pick. So we'll take pictures here now in the photo area, and then we box the cake ready for collection, label it with order number, and then the person comes and gets it.
Fluffy, nice spring, completely cooked all the way through, not stodgy. Yeah. There we go.
Okay, thank you guys for insight on how a cake company works. I appreciate your time.
I mean, it was nice, man. It was nice.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Anytime. Come back soon.
Thank you very much.